Hello everyone, my name is Naru, and welcome to episode 1 of a new series I'm starting on my channel entitled the Halo Reach Bootcamp. The point of this series is basically going to be to take newer and even intermediate level Halo players and help them hone their multiplayer game to become a lot more consistent and a lot more deadly in their matchmaking. Now, the first few episodes are going to be basic stuff, like helping people figure out what type of player they are, and some basic strategies, tips for strafing, things like that. But as we get later on into the series, I'm going to do more advanced stuff, like complete weapon breakdowns and complete map breakdowns, so you know where all the power weapons are, the power positions, their respawn timers, things like that. Each map and each weapon is going to have its own video, but first, we gotta kick off with the basics. As far as button layout and sensitivity goes, I personally prefer to play on bumper jumper just simply because it allows me to control all of my player movements such as jumping without having to take my right thumb off of the aiming stick or the right stick. And for sensitivity, I usually recommend to people somewhere between a 3 to 5. Halo's not really a twitch shooter, so the higher sensitivities are not really needed. The lower sensitivity helps you keep your aim on target, which is really important, especially in like a DMR battle. You want to have that steady aim, that's why I recommend the lower sensitivities. I personally take a compromise of playing on 4. It gives me a little bit faster turning than the default of 3, but allows me to sort of keep almost the same amount of steadiness that a sensitivity of 3 would allow you to have. But my general overall advice is for you to just mess around with your sensitivity, find one that you like and that you think suits you, and then stick with it, because if you change your sensitivities around all the time, you're not really going to have an easy time. It's much better to pick one, stick with it, get that muscle memory built up, and you'll be a lot more precise with that. Now we're going to get into what is pretty much the main topic for this first episode, which is helping you figure out exactly what type of player you are in the matchmaking. And I'm assuming everyone who's watching this video has had at least some prior experience with Halo Online, or still currently plays the Reach matchmaking. And when it comes to figuring out exactly what type of player you are, there are certain subclasses, such as an objective player who is always working on pulling flags, planting bombs, just generally doing whatever needs to be done to win the game. There are all-out slayers who, no matter what game mode they're in, are there pretty much purely for kills. And then there are the support players who pretty much are helping out the other two by doing things like weakening enemies for an objective player to go in and clean up before pulling a flag, etc. But the main distinction you need to make in your own gameplay is, are you a passive player or are you an aggressive player? Now, from this gameplay of what you've seen so far, you can probably figure out that this is an aggressive gameplay, but my normal gaming style is to be passive. But the reason that this is such a big distinction, and it's the most important one, is because it's going to decide what skills you focus on mainly to improve your game. Now, you do sort of need skills from both sides, both passive and aggressive, if you're going to be the best Halo player possible, such as, and even if you're an all-out aggressive guy, you need to know when to be passive to not give up easy kills in like a Slayer match, or vice versa. If you're a passive player, you need to know when to play aggressive to not give up a power position or a power weapon spawn or something like that. You need both sides in your gameplay, but figuring out what type you are mainly decides what you focus on the most. If you are an aggressive player, the 3 things you're going to concentrate on are your map movement, your power weapon control, and learning the spawn system. Map movement being the biggest, because most people seem to think that being an aggressive player means just charging straight into people all the time. That's not it. A very good aggressive player is somebody who's going to be able to flank and come up from behind or beside their enemies a lot of the time, like you're seeing me doing in this gameplay. That's how you're going to get the multi-kills and things and keep pressure on the enemy team. You want to come from places they're not expecting you to come from, which is why you need to know the map and how to move around it effectively. Power weapon control, you're mostly going to want to work on the close range power weapons such as the shotgun, the sword, and the rockets. Those are going to be your big main things that are going to help you in close quarters combat, which is generally what you're going to be in most of the time as an aggressive player. And the third thing is you need to concentrate on learning the spawn system. Learning the spawns is very important for a aggressive player, because once you, say, get a triple kill or an overkill or whatever, you need to know where those guys are going to respawn. That way you can set up another flank route to do it again. Basically, your job as the aggressive player is to keep them on their heels the whole time, not let them have any ground, not let them get comfortable, not have any room to breathe. That's pretty much your job. which is why learning the spawn system helps, because when you kill someone, you know where they're going to repop, and you can know how to shut them down already. Now, if you're a passive player, you have 3 different sets except for one. Power weapon control is still important for a passive player, but the weapons that you concentrate on the most are going to be different. Grenade launcher and sniper, pretty much any power weapon that can be used at range is going to be something you're going to want to concentrate on, because your goal is not to be in close range combat as much as possible. Now, even though I say that those are the main power weapons, I'd still say every player should learn to use every power weapon effectively, because even if you are an aggressive player, there's going to be times where you're not going to have access to a shotgun or a sword or rockets. You may have to pick up something like a grenade launcher, so you should still try to learn every power weapon effectively, and that's why I'm going to be doing the weapon breakdowns later on in this series. But those are the main ones you want to focus on. The second thing for a passive player is your positioning. You want to position yourself in positions of power as much as possible. Height advantage, anything that gives you height advantage, that type of thing. You basically just want to put yourself in a position where that guy is going to have to work very hard to kill you while it's minimal work for you. That's the second thing. For the third thing for a passive player is staying alive, because especially if you're playing with very good aggressive players, you're going to get snuck up on, and you need to be able to get away. Learning the map is another big thing for a passive player, because that's going to help you plan your escape routes. Passive players should always keep track of where they are on the map, and at least have 1 or 2 escape routes in mind. That way, if somebody does manage to sneak up behind you or beside you or something, you have a way out. Staying alive is one of the best things that a passive player can do, because if it's an aggressive player that's chasing you down, he's probably going to chase you around corners and stuff, and you can even turn that sort of situation into a kill. Even though you're being chased, you can go around a corner, drop a frag to take his shields down, shoot him in the face, or you can just simply be annoying by staying alive the most time until you can get some backup to help you finish that guy off. So those are the 3 biggest things for the passive player. Your power weapon control, your positioning, and staying alive. Now, once you've made this sort of distinction in your own gameplay, those are the things you want to concentrate on. From now on, whenever you're playing as an aggressive player, think about where the enemies are, how you can sneak up behind them. Once you kill them, think about where they're probably going to spawn. If you're a passive player, think of where the most high traffic areas are on each map, and spots that you can effectively counter them, or at least just give yourself the advantage over that high traffic area. And think about your escape routes. You always want to have an escape route in mind, because there is always going to be at least one person in a match that sneaks up behind you, and you need to be able to get out of there. But apart from that, that's pretty much the only real general breakdown I can give you guys right now. So I'm just going to let you guys enjoy the rest of the gameplay. Don't forget to leave a like if you've enjoyed this video or if it's helped you at all, and I will talk to all of you guys in the next episode.
5 minutes remaining.